All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS live stream. Going to be going over the common questions, the betting picks, the Fanduel picks, lineup construction for the Waste Management Phoenix Open, like we always do. Got Austin in here, got Brant in here, chatting it up last week. Oh, who you got this week? Already chatting it up, not Corona. That is funny. Hopefully no one does. But just kind of going over the common questions for this week already. I already am starting to notice a lot of questions on a few players. Max Homa was one of them. I got some decent amount of questions on Brooks Koepka, which once again, that kind of surprised me. I was a little bit shocked by that. Rory was another one. And then there was one more in the value tier. Nick Hardy as well was the other one in the value tier. So we'll get into the breakdown of kind of those players and kind of maybe what people are seeing. I was a little bit surprised that kind of Brooks Koepka was one of the players that were popped up. What's going on, Brian? So we'll talk about Brooks Koepka first. So we'll pull Brooks Koepka up here on the 9 of 5 cheat sheet there. Brooks just really doesn't look like a good play. Brooks would be the equivalent of Sergio Garcia winning, or maybe even Patrick Reed winning. So I wouldn't say it's out of the picture. It's just kind of rare that these players who are coming in with not the best form, I guess, miscut or so, and not really checking any boxes, go off and dominate. Now, Patrick Reed was a little bit different, weather circumstances and whatnot, different course. But like, we've seen a lot of winners this year where you probably shouldn't be playing them and they go on and win. So I guess Brooks would fall into that category, but overall, he's just not looking like a good play this week. Course history average 42nd, recent form average, 75th, just horrible recently. 3 straight miscuts in a row. His only finish here was a 42nd finish in 2017. So yeah, I don't really get why people were kind of mentioning Brooks Koepka. I guess from a betting standpoint, you would much rather bet him than play him in a PGA DFS contest, because at least betting wise, you're just losing one betting slip instead of ruining your whole lineup. So I guess I kind of get that in that sense, if that's the route that people are going. But yeah, I'm not on them. I'm not really on anyone in that price point range. That was kind of another common question, is just which players am I on in that price point range? Really none of them. It's really easy to kind of fade them. So we're looking at Rory, who is another one I got asked about a decent amount. So Rory should be able to go off and dominate this course. I've already mentioned it a decent amount of times. And just real quick, I don't know if you guys caught his press conference, but Rory kind of had a fire press conference today, pretty much just calling out the media without them really knowing. Called out Patrick Reed on his Twitter, pretty much saying that, yeah, I'm sure someone in the Reed family was responsible, but not Patrick Reed. It's just some good stuff there from Roy today on the mic. But I think he's a little bit excited for the fans to be back. I know I mentioned this a couple of times now. He's a guy where he's been very vocal about wanting to get fans back, so maybe gets a little bit geared up. So just looking at it, recent form average, this is off of one start, last week at the Farmers, but so of course that played a little bit tougher. And overall, for his first tournament in, over 2 months here on the PGA Tour, to go out and play that well, I liked it a decent amount. So, yeah, Rory, I get it. If you end up on him, he should have lower ownership than the other guys in his price point range. John Rahm, Xander, JT, Webb, Berger. I would rather play all those guys in front of him. So I get it. And then let me just bring up Nick Hardy here real quick. Actually, Nick Hardy I'm fine with. If you guys end up on Nick Hardy, I'm good with it. I don't mind him as a play. So let me get back into the questions here. All right. Who are my top 3 from Chris Kirk, Brendan Steele, Brian Harmon, Henrik Norlander, Luke Lisson, Stanley? I would go Chris Kirk. I would go Harmon. And then it gets tight. That gets real tight. I'll touch on that one in a second once I get caught up to the questions. JB Holmes, I'll touch on that. Max Homa week. There we go, Brian. Boom, boom, boom. It's going to be Max Homa week again. Someone brought it up. I was waiting for that to happen. So whenever someone brings up Max Homa on 9 to 5 or 2 9 to 5, he has a good week. So now we're good. We're good. Just lock him in. Brian brought him up. We're just going to lock him in. He's going to have a great week. He's probably going to go on and win it now, since we're all going to be on him. All right. Strokes gain, mentioning Max Homa. That's off the charts this year, so I like it. And in case you guys missed that story, Brian mentioned this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I kind of told him a story. I have a buddy who, whenever he he doesn't play PGA DFS that often, but he'll randomly come in and say, hey, it's a Max Homa week, or hey, what do you think about Max Homa? And I'm like, Max Homa's a horrible play this week. What are you seeing? And then he goes off that week, and then he kind of goes on a tear for a little bit. And then Brian mentioned it that week, and the exact same thing happened. So kind of got the Brian or Max Homa bit going. Are you feeling Kazire this week? I really do like Kazire this week, and I'll pull him up here. So let me pull up these guys on that 9 to 5 player sheet there. I'll get into that. So let me answer that first question again. So I'll pull up Norlander. I'll do, kind of the matchup preview here. Who is it? Norlander, Luke List, Steele, Harmon. All right. And then Luke List. Anyone else? Kyle Stanley I actually don't mind for value purposes. All right, so we'll pull them up here right here. We can see it. So let me scroll down a little bit. So honestly, of those guys, I would feel most comfortable with Brian Harmon. I think he's kind of been grinding out cuts this season so owned than he should be this week just because he has looked good recently. He's another one of those guys where had a great fall, kind of slipped up in the middle of the fall swing there, and it's starting to come back. A lot like Max Homa, if you will. A lot like Justin Suh a little bit. There's a lot of guys where they kind of have a slip up, and now they're starting to get back into that form. Actually, this should be a good course for Brendan Steele. It's tough to answer. I mean, I get why you're asking it. My gut says, Harmon's the safest. I like Kyle Stanley too. So for me, it's Kirk. For me, it's Harmon. And then, man, do we go? I don't want to go Kyle Stanley. He has horrible course history here. So, I don't know. It's tough, man. I guess I would go Kyle Stanley if I have to answer. JB Holmes, not on JB Holmes this week as well. Let's see what you're seeing with him. Yeah, I don't really see it with JB Holmes this week, so we'll pull it up. Good course history, but he had good course history, I believe, last week as well. Missed the cut last week. Maybe he finds his form, though, here at this tournament. Good price point for him, so I get it. That'd be worth the risk in at least one build. That makes sense to me. Max Homo, I already mentioned that. So, yeah, let's get into Kazire here. Let's break down Kazire, because Kazire I do really like as a play. Man, if he was just $100 cheaper, that would have made my lineup process this week so much easier. I've had like 4 different builds that I was like, yes, this is the build. And then I go to click that player, and it's $100 over the salary. So when I talk about lineup construction, I'll get more into that, but it has been frustrating in that sense. So yeah, Patton Kazire, I do really like as a play. So we got it listed out here. Top 31 stat rank, recent form average 34th. Just grades out well. Top 25 of the model at 7K. I like that a decent amount. And really, from Patton Kazire down, huge drop off. So there's a real plateau with Patton Kazire. So if you can fit Patton Kazire into your build, sure. I kind of been trying to redo my lineups if I have to go beneath Patton Kazire. So that's where I'm at with him. All right. Martin Laird. All right, DFS chefs. What's up, Dave? So let's see. Am I gonna party with Martin Laird? I had to make sure I was getting that for a second. I am not. I don't mind Martin Laird. The problem that I had with Martin Laird this week was that I really just couldn't fit him into my builds. I just couldn't. I don't mind him as a play though. Recent form wise, kind of been hit or miss recently, but it's been there. He showed that upside in the fall. Good course history. Strong staff fit as well. So I don't mind Martin Laird. If you're ending up on a Martin Laird, I can't talk you off of him. I'm perfectly good with Martin Laird. What's up with Hardy? Yeah, so I actually don't mind Justin Hardy this week. Justin Hardy to me is going to be a quality value play. Now, he's not something we should go crazy with at all, I don't think. Especially being a money qualifier and whatnot, that can really start to eat up on you, I guess, if you will, for lack of a better term, where you keep doing that each and every week, it's starting to wear out on you. That's what I was looking for. It's going to wear out on him eventually. I know he's a young gun, but he had a good start at the Sony Open. Most recently on the Korn Ferry Tour, he hasn't had a miscut as well. So, yeah, I don't mind Nick Hardy. I'm good with Nick Hardy as a play there. See the other questions. Hey, no problem, Andrew. I appreciate it, man. So would I rather take Max Homa, Corey Connors, and Munoz, or Ricky, Bubba, Will Gordon? Yeah, I'm definitely doing that first option. For the main reason that you're bringing in a lot of risk with Ricky, Bubba, and Gordon to chase that upside. Ricky really hasn't shown us much lately. Bubba's been very, very hit or miss. Um, he's a guy that, honestly, I think Bubba's going to have one of those random weeks this year where he goes out and wins, where he's not exactly the go-to play that week, but we know who Bubba is as a player. He can go off and win any tournament. So, yeah, I think Bubba is going to get maybe not a victory, but he'll push for a victory. It'll kind of be like Sergio Garcia, where, no, really any 2021 winner, where there's no real reason to like believe it or be behind that pick. But I could see him having a random week like that because his game has been right there. It's just every tournament there's something a little bit different off with him, where if he just puts that all together, I could see that happening. Ricky, I think he's eventually going to put it together, but it's just a little bit too risky for me. So yeah, Max Homa and Corey Connors, I'd much rather favor Corey Connors. He's a guy checking all the boxes, where Max Homa has horrible, what was it? He's a horrible stat fit, and that's just looking at long-term. Everyone knows I like to look at long-term stats over short-term stats. It's just more predictable, especially in the long term, which if you're playing cash contests and whatnot over the season, that's just going to be, more predictable. Just, basic logic. It's home week. It better be. Yeah, so Burns and Cook, or Zalatoris and Hardy. I would probably go Zalatoris and Hardy for me. I like Cook. I think Cook will make the cut, but I think it'll be close. Sam Burns is a GPP play as well. I wonder if you could fit like Sink or James Hahn in there. They're both not bad plays. Yeah, honestly, you wonder if Max Homa is going to get a couple of top tens here in the next couple of weeks, because he's right there. The form has been there, and eventually those stats are going to pick up if he keeps playing well. And there's just going to be a lock and load pretty much. All right, so let's get into the betting picks for this week, guys. All right, so talking about the betting picks for this week, I already kind of mentioned this a little bit. I did like a Twitter live stream, which I'm going to start to try to do here and there a little bit more. I tried to do it on this video, but I don't know, it wasn't working, so I have to try to figure that out. Whatever. But what kind of the breakdown of it was that John Rahm, JT, Xander, Rory, they're all a little bit too short of odds for me this week. Now, I do really like John Rahm, and I do really like Xander. Slightly worried about Justin Thomas coming off of that miscut off the European Tour, but looking back on it, it could have been a little bit of the Ralph Lauren like mental block there. The whole sponsorship thing, whatever going on there with him, with his, well, we all know what he said. So, maybe there was some sort of like mental hurdle there where he wasn't in it as geared up into it for every shot, and that's why he missed the cut there. Or maybe it's just because it was a European Tour event. You're taking a plane ride over there and then a plane ride back. It's more of a vacation, I think, for a lot of those players when they do that one solo tournament trip there like he did. So I'm not overly worried about it with him, but I would much rather be on Justin Thomas if he was a little bit cheaper just across the board and whatnot. So for me, a lot of my betting card, I would want to start out at, Webb Simpson. I think Webb Simpson could easily go out and defend his title this week. And that'd be the worry with him, is that we've seen, at least recently, over really the past 6 months, that a guy that has to defend his title really hasn't been playing all too well for some reason. There is some sort of a mental aspect of that too, where they're not getting in their normal practice routine because they have a little bit more media time, a little bit more interviews, and just tournament obligations there, being the defending champ, than they typically would for a normal week. But I'm not really worried about Webb. Those players that the past winners in these previous events were really not in good form or good stat fits, or players that we would want to be in for that tournament, where Webb actually is this week. So I like Webb at 15-1. I like Daniel Berger at 17-1 as well. You could go Harris English 28-1. I don't mind him as a pick. These are from that Twitter video. We'll pull that down there. But yeah, I don't mind Webb. I don't like Berger. 28-1 for English. I don't mind that. Hideki, I think it's a good course for him. He really likes this course, but I'd much rather bet, Sanjay M 34-1. Sanjay M is definitely getting slept on a little bit for a guy that's really grinding out a made cut and then also having some really solid finishes in there when his game is actually working and hitting the way, we all have come to expect from Sanjay M there. And I don't mind Ryan Palmer, Will Zatoris. Those guys are both good stat fits. 45-1 for those guys. Not bad. A lot of people like Max Homa this week and Russell Henley. 70-1 and 75-1 for those guys is not bad, but I would much rather prefer Corey Connors. 80-1. He's a guy checking all the boxes this week, so I'm good with him. Then we go lower. So, man, I don't really get what's been going on with this. Carlos Ortiz, 100-1. I love that. Checking all the boxes. This guy ranks out. I'll just pull it up here. Let's pull it up. Pull it up here. Model rank. 9th in the model. Wow. For 100-1 for a guy that's ranked 9th in the model. Literally checking all the boxes this week, too. His lowest thing that we're looking at this week is course history, where he ranks 28th, and he hasn't missed a cut. And he's gotten better each year. Yeah, so 100-1 for Carlos Ortiz feels great for me. And then Chris Kirk and John Hutt, a lot of people already saw that coming, but 125-1 for those guys who are both, top 15 plays as well. Great plays. I know I mentioned Chris Kirk on the Twitter page, that social media post I made. It'd be awesome. It would be pretty poetic if Chris Kirk went out and won this week. It really would be. For those of you guys that know kind of his past, you'd get that. For those of you that don't, look it up. I don't really want to dwell on that too much, but it'd kind of be poetic for him to win the Wasted Management Open. So that'd be pretty cool. The Happy Gilmore Tournament of the Year. And then just going lower, James Hahn, really solid stat fit. I don't expect him to win, but he's a guy that has shown some upside. Pretty crazy that Jordan's down here this low. And Sebastian Munoz. Did Sink get bet up? Sink might have got bet up here. Let's see. Oh, he didn't. 175-1 for Sink. And then Cameron Tringale as well. So these two are both good stat fits. Tringale has horrible course history, but has great recent form, whereas Stuart Sink is kind of mixed in between there. So Tringale, where, solid stat fit, good recent form, horrible course history. This is a play where I'd much rather, place a bet on him than necessarily risk a DraftKings lineup, missing out on a DraftKings lineup, because you're bringing a lot of risk for a guy that really has horrible course history. So, that'd be the worry there. And then Stuart Sink has already shown his upside a few times this year. So honestly, it really wouldn't shock anyone if he went out and won this week. And then I know we already talked about Patton Kizzire. He's a guy that's casually checking all the boxes there. So Patton Kizzire there, I really don't mind as a pick. Hold on. So 175-1, he's a guy where we already kind of mentioned it. Low key checking all the boxes. So I don't mind him as a pick. Chalk Homa. Is Homa chalk? See, I don't think Homa should be chalk. I'll pull up Homa here because I don't think he should be chalk. So let me pull up this. I mean, there's definitely something to worry about here. Just not the best at fit. And for, paying almost $8K for him, that is a little bit worried. But, great course history and great recent form. You definitely want to own some of him for sure. He shouldn't be chalk. I don't know, that's interesting. Especially this week, he shouldn't be chalk. There really shouldn't be chalk for, say, this week. With the amount of quality plays that we have across the board, there just should not be chalk at all. So that'd be interesting to me if he is chalk. But let's get back into the betting picks. I'm going to go over like top 40 here real quick, and then we'll get into the FanDuel picks because FanDuel is super easy this week, guys. So we'll touch on that in a second. All right, so we'll get into top 40 bets. Once again, we kind of know my strategy here is that really with top 40, you're just trying to lock in a made cut and go from there. If you pretty much did this every week, you'd make a profit. It's kind of as simple as that. So kind of what I like to do is focus on those guys that have plus 100 odds there. You can go below that if you want to. I don't really want to do that. So you could go like Max Homa there. You could go John Hutt there. You go Carlos Ortiz there. Let's go lower down there. If you guys really believe in like Nick Hardy, this is where you play him. So Patton Kizzire there, we got him. Hey, what's going on? Let's see. Do we have any other players? Kyle Stanley, I don't mind. Yeah, so where Nick Hardy. So you get like 2 to 1 for Nick Hardy to pretty much just make the cut and finish top 40. I'm good with that. And this is a decent way to do it. Let's say you want to put like $5 on each of them. Let's see how much that would win you. So risk 25 and you'd win 58. That's not bad for 40. Or yeah, for players finishing top 40. Especially when we're getting, those quality of plays there. Chris Kirk, we'll throw him in there as well. Put another 5 down there. Risk 30, win 70. So not a bad approach there. Yeah, Connor should be showing a little bit higher projected ownership. But really, I don't get why people are hating John Hutt over the past 5 tournaments. It's pretty surprising to me in general. So we'll get into the FanDuel picks for this week. All right, real quick though, are there any like questions specifically for FanDuel before I really dive down into it? Just kind of curious. Because FanDuel's great. I made my exact same lineup that I would for DraftKings, but instead of playing, I think it was Sanjay, I was able to get up to Ram. I mean, that's a pretty big bump for me, I think. So yeah, just reading it off real quick. So it goes John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Rory, Xander. So Xander is actually the 4th highest priced player on the FanDuel slate, where on DraftKings he's the 2nd. We get Webb, Berger, Hideki, English, and then Im. So Im is priced after English and after Hideki, and slightly before Brooks and Will Zalatoris and Scotty Scheffler. Brooks is priced up a ton on FanDuel. So if you're thinking about playing him, do not play him on FanDuel. If you are like gung-ho about playing him, you'd want to play him on DraftKings. But yeah, Sanjay M, I like that price point for him on FanDuel here. And then Ryan Palmer. So this is where if you do play on 2 different sites, and you wanted to play Ryan Palmer, FanDuel would be the place to play him. He's priced down a ton on FanDuel. On FanDuel, you wouldn't want to play Sam Burns because he's priced up. Then let's see here. John Hutt is actually getting some respect on FanDuel. Respect to FanDuel for that. There we go. But Chris Kirk getting disrespected there. So yeah, let's pull it up. I'll kind of show you guys my lineup process for FanDuel this week. What's up, Mikey? I can't play JB Holmes. I don't know. That is a strategy that typically doesn't work. But once again, 2020 has been strange where there's been a lot of, I don't want to say random winners, but a lot more just variance in the winners. I don't know if you guys saw that tweet that I put out, but actually I'll pull it up here real quick. Let's pull it up. Give me a second. Because I posted this tweet. It's been insane. So like each and every year I do pretty well with like being on the winners and whatnot. This year hasn't been any different except for the single fact that they've been getting second. So here we go. So this is the betting card recap thus far. So here we go. 2021. Got the quality long shots for you guys there, but we'll pull up the graphic here. All right. So last week, Palmer 55-1, second place. Cantlay 13-1, second place. Neiman 2 weeks in a row, second place. 4 straight weeks in a row again, second place. Okay, these picks like Holmes are eventually going to wear off, where they're not going to work. That's just kind of what history tells us. So I just don't expect that. But that's what the third question I got with Holmes. I don't want to say it's a bad pick. I don't see it, but I never want to be the one to talk someone off of a player. So if you're going with Holmes, you can, I guess. I wouldn't go too crazy with it, though. But just kind of talking about the lineup process here for FanDuel. So, like I said, you guys could easily fit in John Rahm. You could easily fit in Xander if you wanted to. And then you could probably fit in Berger if you wanted to. We'll get back to that. So we already know Kirk is priced down. So we're going to play him. Carlos Ortiz, he kind of has a decent price bump, but I find it surprising the big difference in salary between Kirk and Carlos Ortiz. That's a little bit shocking to me there. And then let's see here. Who else do we got? We could probably go John Hutt for this one if we want to. And then we're still left with 8.6 left over. which then you're kind of gaining a little bit of a value in there. I don't mind Adam Hadwin. I don't mind Matt Jones. You know, Emiliano Grillo is really a great value on FanDuel because he's a great stat fit, has relatively good course history, only has that one miscut, which was last week. So honestly, he's not a bad play on FanDuel. You could easily fit him in there where just based on the pricing here for FanDuel, he's the one that kind of really is sticking out the most. Just scrolling down to make sure I didn't miss anyone. So yeah, you could really just, what do we got here? We have Rahm, Xander, Kirk, Ortiz, Hutt, and Grillo. And I believe those guys are all top stat rank plays. Let's see here. So Kirk, 4th, Grillo, 3rd, Rahm, 10, Xander, 8th, and then Huff, 14th. So yeah, I mean, pretty good lineup in terms of like GPP upside there for FanDuel. That's a lineup that makes a ton of sense. But if you want to go a little bit more fair and balanced, you could easily do that. And let's just show you guys that real quick as well. So let's say you kind of want to go more fair and balanced. You don't want to pay up that much. Well, we got Daniel Berger, Webb Simpson. You could easily fit those two into your builds. And then you still have our studs that we want to pay up for. And then I thought we could get Connors. Maybe not in this one specifically. So yeah, we could get Connors in this one. So we're getting pretty much, this is like the safety build here where you just couldn't do this on DraftKings. So this is a build where I feel good. Berger, Webb, Ortiz, Hutt, Connors. You know, it makes sense. All right, so Austin's FanDuel lineup is very similar to this, apparently. Yeah, it's just, FanDuel is a little bit easier each and every week, it seems like, to really just fit in that extra guy into your build that makes you feel good, that makes you have that extra confidence in it. So really not bad on the FanDuel side. That's kind of the lineup construction for FanDuel in general that you can go with. We'll talk about DraftKings lineup construction as well here. All right. So just, well, here we go. All right. So just lineup construction for DraftKings in general. I found it very hard to really fit in like two of the quality studs. Now I can still fit in two of the studs into a lineup pretty easily and feel really good about it. But I haven't had a lineup where I'm like, yeah, this is going to be 6 for 6. I've been 100 off of that about 4 times. So this is a week where it was almost going to be like a gung-ho week, you know, green week, as I like to call it. But it's going to be a yellow week just because of that. You know, if we could get a lineup where we could confidently project 6 for 6 across the cut line, that's going to be a green week. This week it was 5 out of 6. Okay. And I still do worry about kind of the post-break variance, you know, players still kind of getting acclimated to whether it's new clubs, new sponsorship, whatever. Maybe a slightly new swing, a new caddy, you know, whatever. You know, it does take players a little bit of time to kind of readjust to that. So still coming off of the break, I have it as yellow week, but still 5 out of 6 this week. I think that's going to be kind of the norm. There's a lot of great plays across the slate, really. You don't have to play anyone in the 8K, which typically if you just jam in players in the 8K, you're going to have a good week, which this week you don't really have to do that, which I really like that actually this week. So just kind of going it over, you know, if you're fitting John Rahm into your build and if you're trying to fit, you know, Xander into your build, then you really are going to have to go with someone down there in the value tier, maybe a Nick Hardy. Maybe you take a little bit of a flyer on, you know, Austin Cook, possibly a guy that I think will make the cut. You know, I'm fine with that if you guys go that route. That makes sense to me. I will say, honestly, guys, I know this is my bias coming in here, being a Wisconsin night and whatnot, but Steve Stricker at 6.3, he made the cut last week at a long track. Has relatively good course history here. You know, it wouldn't shock me if he made the cut. Obviously, I'm not expecting anything big from him. It wouldn't shock me. And then my boy Trey Merritt as well down there. But for me, for the most part, like I said, I haven't wanted to go below that 7K range there. Really, for me, it's Patton Kazire, and then don't want to go lower than that, really at all. Now, there are some good GPP plays down there, like I already mentioned, like Tringale, like Hahn, like Sink. You can go with that. You know, Kevin Strillman should make the cut as well. Maybe Harry Higgs again. He's a guy who had a good finish here last year. You know, I don't mind that. So is Russell Henley still on my list? Yeah, I still like Russell Henley. Just a good stat fit, really solid dart throw. He's a guy that could go off. He's a guy that could miss a cut. But, if he goes on and wins this week, it's not going to shock anyone. Great stat fit. Been very hit or miss recently, but when he hits, it's been great finishes. Who's going to have higher ownership this week, Varner or Neesmith? I would imagine Varner has a little bit more name value. I don't think you'd really have to worry about that too much, though. Matthew Naismith is a good stat fit where Varner is still trying to find his form, and he just hasn't been able to find it. He's a guy where he typically is, a guy that makes 75% of the cuts. So eventually he'll figure it out. Remember last year, Varner was like checking all the boxes coming into this. I just want to see it from him first as well. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm about to wrap it up here in the next 5 minutes or so. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I'll be getting out of here shortly. But how's everyone's week going? I'm pretty excited. I got a lot of new tools at 9 to 5 coming still. I know I keep on loading them. I just added the percent likely to make the cut, and also fantasy points, and then that's all included in the lineup optimizer. Which should we show you guys the lineup optimizer? I don't have a specific slide for this yet, but I think I will. Let's just do it. Let's just show you the lineup optimizer. So a lot of you guys are familiar with this. It's been around 9 to 5 for about the past, 3 months now. So what you guys can do, it's pretty easy. You download the CSV data. It's pretty easy. I just posted a video on this as well. So if you guys want to, you can check that out. But you download it. And then let me pull that up. So what you do is then you would, give me a second here. Oh, he's got some questions here. Sam Ryder. Sam Ryder might be a little bit of fool's gold there. Han or Sink. Flip a coin there, dude. That's a tough one. Is it weird if I just go into... I'm going to do this real quick. I kind of want to show you guys it, so I'll do this. I'll do the YouTube video that I just posted, actually. Pull that out. Kind of weird, I know. Yeah, so that resurgence of Sam Ryder, I don't know, the guy, I remember like when he first came on tour or really started to splash was like a year and a half ago. The guy was like an elite stat fit for a decent amount of his starts and then really kind of fell off there. And then he's kind of just like went away recently. I would hope so, but that's kind of the problem with this early season variance is that you just don't know what's true or what's not true. You kind of just have to see kind of what's going on there. All right, it's weird. I'm going to pull up myself talking about my lineup generator, which is going to be crazy. But I'll talk you guys through it. This is going to be fun. All right, let's do it real quick. All right. Let's full screen this on here. Okay. Let's just cover myself up there. Whatever. Double screen on Eric. So what you guys do, you download the CSV file here. It's pretty easy. I already have the fantasy projections there ready for you guys, but what you do is you download this here and then you pull it up in your Excel file. So it's in your Excel file here that you just downloaded. Then what you guys can do, if you guys want to do this yourself, you go through and edit your projected fantasy points the way that you guys see them scoring, or you can even do it by projected likelihood to make the cut, which is something that I kind of like to do. Because then you're kind of basing your projections here with this lineup builder off of their likelihood to make the cut, which is slightly different than their fantasy points that they're scoring, which to me, I kind of see that as something that can be huge because instead of factoring in fantasy points, kind of the upside with the fantasy projection, you're really factoring in that made cut. So to me, I really like that. So what you do is you just copy whichever one you would want, whichever column you'd want, whether it's column B or column C there, you would copy that and then paste that into the Excel sheet. So here we go. Just going to fast forward this bad boy a little bit. And so we pasted it in there. I did cut likelihood there. Then we did it. Boom, we can run a new build just right off of that without having to change anything if we wanted to do that. We'll see what it pulled up here. So I was adjusting the ownerships here a little bit. You guys should check out this video. This is just a snapshot of it, but it's as simple as that. So you can run it. I didn't filter and my ownerships at all. So I brought in Vincent Whaley because I guess he has a good average there. He's a guy that was added to the field, so that's something I had to adjust. But we'll go into like the kits and caboodles of what it looked like at the end of it. So if you wanted to do 150 lineups, you could do that. And this is kind of what the ownership percentages would be then with that. Kind of just using that tool the way you could use it. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited to get this out to you guys. I know it's been out there for the past 3 months. It's probably something I should highlight a little bit more because it's a great tool. And this is included for $10 at 9 to 5 Sports. Really tough to beat that. That's kind of what I'm going for, just provide the best value out there that I can for PGA DFS. If you guys had any questions on that, definitely, shoot me some questions. Yeah, the cut one, I don't know. I just like it a little bit better in general. I don't know. It just makes a little bit more sense for me, especially how I like to play, especially if you are only doing like 20 entries or 100 entries. So I'm just excited to continue to provide value for you guys. But that's all I have for this video. I hope you have a good Waste Management Phoenix Open. If you guys want to join 9 to 5 Nation, links in the description below. It's $10 a month. If you guys are part of 9 to 5 Nation already, make sure to click that link for the Discord chat that is included in your membership. That'll bring you to the 9 to 5 Nation chat there. Okay, so you can just be in that and have some fun with this because it's been a fun Discord chat so far. I've been enjoying that. Been having a ton of fun actually this since the break for PGA DFS. So just going to continue to keep that going throughout the whole year here. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe. I do appreciate that, guys. Hey, and as always, let's keep cashing.